Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to another Speedcast session. I'm your host, Zoom CW, uh, also known as Julio. So thank you so much for joining. I truly appreciate you, all your support. Today we have a very special guest. My guest is one of the main villains in this summer's hit show, Stargirl. Um, Eric Goins, aka the Gambler, Stephen Sharp. So let's go ahead and get him on the call.
We
Eric,
we did it.
we did it.
Yes. We defeated technology.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time. And for those of you that were on earlier, we were having some technical difficulties. Life does happen. Sometimes things don't work the way they're supposed to be. We are on live TV or a live Instagram, so that'll tell you that this is not pre-recorded. Hey, man, how you been? How you holding up?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. Thanks for asking. How you holding up?
I'm doing good, man. Just crazy times at work, definitely. The numbers keep going up and down, so it's been kind of crazy. Um, are you binge watching anything? Are you reading anything?
Yeah, good question. I'm watching Stargirl like crazy, for sure.
Awesome, man.
I'm watching
Uh, you-
Stargirl. I'm actually rewatching episodes of Key and Peele also. Their
oh,
sketch
nice.
comedy show. Oh, it's
Yeah,
fantastic. So I've been rewatching their shows, which I think those guys are hilarious. And
yeah, beautiful, man.
that's a majority of my time. I have children, so my TV time is very limited. So I squeeze in what I can.
I hear you, man. Kids just hog the TV, and uh, my kids did the same when they were little. So I gotta ask you, you're known as an improv master.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
you know, hey man, you are the man in terms of improv, and I mean that is very difficult to do, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, for you to do a show like Stargirl, how has that transition been? I mean, anyone could throw any subject matter at you in improv, and you could just run with it and go at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
How is that different to reading a line on Stargirl?
Yeah. So it's obviously there's some pretty considerable differences. When you're doing improv, you have no prepared lines, no scripts, really nothing. So you walk out in front of an audience and you create right there in the moment based on what the audience gives you. So there's nothing prepared. For any type of TV or film that you're working, obviously there's a script provided, and so you're being given the words, and the way I really kind of apply improv is it allows me to breathe life into everything else. So the space between the lines, when I'm not talking, when another character in the scene is talking, it allows me to stay in character and just improvise and stay in the present. So that way I'm always in it. So I'm not sitting there thinking about my next line or thinking about what I'm going to do next. So that way, when it is my line, I'm like, oh yeah, I got this line. I'm already in it by the time it gets to me because I never left. And plus, obviously, there's a great feeling of collaboration on the set. And while the words were very much the writers, because with a show like DC Stargirl or any kind of comic book show, the writers know the voices and they know why the characters say certain things, and you really got to stay on point with that stuff. That being said, there's a great feeling of collaboration on our set, which is great for a guy that likes to do improv.
Was any of the scenes that you shot, was any of that improv? Did you do any improvisation? I mean,
It's
was
hard
any
to
of it that you
remember.
can remember?
It's hard to remember at this point because we wrapped last September, and so it's hard to remember if there was anything that wasn't written and just improvised. I mean, maybe little unspoken moments more than anything. But I can't remember any specifics off the top of my head, which is usually a good sign because one of the good signs of like having a good improv experience is you walk off the stage and you're like, wow, I don't know what just happened, but that was really awesome. So if you don't remember it, it means you're really present, in my opinion, or
Yeah.
I'm losing it. One of the two things is true.
Let me just say, you're such an amazing the gambler. I mean, come on. I mean, you were meant for this role and I asked Neil this when I interviewed him. Uh, did Jeff Johns, when he was writing this role, I mean, when he was thinking about who to cast, I mean, were you the first person that came to mind for Jeff Johns, or how did it come about?
I would love to think that I was the first person that came to mind. Unfortunately, I'm fairly certain Jeff didn't know my name when he first wrote the character. I mean, I auditioned just like everybody else. I mean, there's a great story about Jeff when he wrote Stargirl. He had Luke Wilson in mind for that role, and that's a cool story. For me, I auditioned just like everybody else, and I don't know how many people auditioned. I don't know where, I don't know how that all went down, but I know he saw something in my audition that was right. And what's cool is that my audition was nothing compared to what you see on screen. So when I auditioned for The Gambler, I didn't know what I was auditioning for. I didn't know it was The Gambler. I didn't know it was DC Stargirl. I got an audition for like a business guy at a dinner with his boss, who was told that he's no longer going on the big business trip. And that's it. That's pretty much it. And I did that, and it was funny. So because they were at a dinner, and the character was described as kind of like kind of charismatic but a little abrasive. I just ate during the whole audition, which is like supposed to be like this big no-no for actors. They're like, don't eat, and I just ate. I was talking like this the whole time. And I guess something kind of piqued his interest because they came back and said, that was great. Try it again. This time just don't eat so we can hear you talking. And so I did it again, and the rest is history. I mean, it's funny because The Gambler has this very distinct speaking style and this very distinct characterization about him. But I did not present that character to anyone, including Jeff Johns, until episode 2. Like, I didn't speak in the voice. I didn't try to show the character. I didn't do anything until episode 2, because in the first episode, really the only time you see the Gambler is in that fight scene. So like throughout the pilot, Jeff and I were talking. He's like, "What do you think about this character?" And I was like, "What do you think about this character? You're the man." And we kind of talked about it a little bit and collaborated. He gave me some ideas. I told him what coming from an improv background, I had a huge kind of repertoire of characters that I've done. And so I kind of brought what I had already developed and already thought about. He brought me kind of his ideas of the character, and I just kind of melded those. I mean, Jeff and I decided that the Gambler is like one part Riverboat Gambler, one part Tony Soprano, and one part Colonel Sanders. And so I took those three words and just kind of merged them together, and that's what the Gambler became.
Wow, that's an incredible story, and let me just say that you're killing it as the Gambler, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
The way your presence on camera, when I believe that was that scene when you guys were at when you were brainstorming about what to do, with Blue Valley, and I believe Amy Smart is pitching all these ideas, and you just shooting her down, man, and that presence you commanded. My wife and I looked at ourselves, and we're just like, man, this guy, he's pulling this off. He is the Gambler.
Yeah, that was the very first scene I spoke, and so that was the first time I presented the character, like, to Jeff, basically. And so it was like one of those things. I'm like, I'm in a scene with Amy Smart. I haven't said one word as the Gambler yet, and they're like, action, and I go through the scene, and it's like, cut, and I'm like, so what do you guys think of the Gambler? Like, it's like, that's him. What do you guys think? And they liked it, so we kept moving on. But that was one of my favorite scenes to shoot, was that thing with the scene with Amy, because it really very quickly defines who the Gambler is, and it was so awesome. It was a great scene to shoot.
Yeah, man, you definitely pulled that off. That was an amazing scene. I just gotta ask. I mean, the beginning of you mentioned the first episode where you were in it briefly, and you had the gambler's suit on, which is his trademark, right? I believe it
Right.
was purple,
Yeah.
and you had the hat on,
Yeah.
and Starman just pretty much just comes in and
Destroys
I mean
me. Yeah.
destroys you.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you read for this scene and you saw that it was a DC character,
Hmm.
a lot of actors become intimidated or they get nervous. And did you realize what kind of fandom you're in for if you landed this role?
I don't think honestly I understood. I mean, I think so. Like when I was offered the role, I got the role, and 30 minutes later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize, and it was Jeff Johns. And I was like, Jeff is the showrunner. He's calling me. Like that's a big deal for the showrunner and Jeff Johns to call me. And he kind of like started running me through the character and who he was and stuff. And I started realizing, wow, this is a really big deal. And you're like, this is awesome. And then you're like, wow, I have a lot of responsibility to deliver on this. And I think it's just recently that I'm starting to recognize like there's this huge, really supportive, engaging community of people who have been supporting the stories that Jeff's telling for a long, long time. And they're engaged and they are empowered to like really, I think that's cool. It's awesome.
I mean, you live in the Atlanta area, correct? So you're out there.
That's,
So I
yeah.
believe one of the biggest cons in the world is out there, second to San Diego Comic Con, which is Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Uh, are you ready for? I mean, once this pandemic is over, hopefully soon,
Yeah.
hopefully we get a vaccine. Are you ready for the fans to come up to you and say, "Oh my God, that's the gambler"? You know, I got to take a selfie with him. Are you ready for that? Are
Yeah.
you ready to have
Yeah.
those lines for autographs?
Yeah. I love people. I mean, I love that stuff. Like, I did improv shows for a live audience for 16 years. And it's a lot of fun after the show to meet and greet with people who had fun and like you get to interact with the people with who you just kind of brought joy to or affected them in some way. And that's kind of a rewarding experience for anybody who's involved in the arts.
And I do apologize. I forgot to mention at the beginning when we came on, congratulations on the success of the show.
Yeah.
It is
Thank you.
doing amazingly great, man. You guys, I believe, on Rotten Tomatoes are at 91%.
Nice.
You guys, I mean, no one can make those guys happy.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome.
You've done it. You've done
We
it.
did it. We did it. We went where no show could go.
And one of the things I mentioned to Neil Jackson was when I first saw episode one, the production is amazing, man. This thing is this series does not feel like a streaming TV series or a CW series. It feels like how many, I don't know how many hours it is, but 13 episode movie to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to Jeff's vision. I mean, Jeff's vision for this show was very clear, and he delivered on every element of that. So all the props to him and his crew.
yeah, everything from the cinematography to the set design. I mean, the whole cast and crew. Kudos to everyone that works on the show because, I mean, I've been watching, superhero movies and TV shows all my life, and this is definitely one of my favorites.
Oh, thanks.
It is amazingly good, man, and we are so addicted to it. My wife is always asking me, "Did the next one drop? When is the next one dropping? When is the next one dropping?" And I keep telling her we gotta wait. It's not a binge show. We can't, you gotta take it in little by little because it's so amazingly, man. And I never want the episode to end. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the allure is that it's something that you get to wait for. You get to anticipate every week, and I think that's part of what Jeff had in mind. Like you get to, it's exciting to wait for stuff. I love binging stuff, but I also love the anticipation of waiting for something that I'm enjoying on a regular basis. So
Like the olden days, right?
yeah, yeah, when there were three channels.
right? It was like, man, you got to wait, man, you got to wait. And one of the things that I noticed was, uh, the beautiful set design. You guys film in Georgia.
Hmm.
I'm out here in LA. We're not filming as much out here in LA due to, they tax us for everything out here, unfortunately. They tax us for a can of soda, unfortunately. Georgia has given some incentives. Vancouver, Canada has given some incentives, and I believe Toronto, Canada has also given some incentives. So a lot of these productions are moving out of California, out of Hollywood, and Georgia is getting a lot of it, including the Avengers. I believe all the Avengers were filmed out there, The
Correct.
Walking Dead, and now you have Black Lightning, and now you have Stargirl. How has that been for you? I mean, they're coming to your backyard. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, it feels like I love Georgia. I love Atlanta. I love living here. And so to see the industry grow where I'm already at is a really nice thing. I mean, it's a great opportunity for someone who wants to work in the industry, and I love it every day. It's great. It's a privilege. It's an honor. It's a blessing to have all this work here in Georgia. And the great thing is that this industry, it does not know boundaries. They can shoot this stuff anywhere, and I think that's good. I mean, it employs more people around the world and engages more creatives all over the place, and that's a healthy thing for our industry.
Yeah, that's great, man. I mean, everything looks beautiful out there, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's beautiful where you're at. Let's not lie. It's beautiful out in California too. But yeah, it's nice here. We have a lot of cool topography. We've got the mountains and we got beaches and big trees and hills. It's a really nice place to live.
so Eric, you've been around for a few years, and you're one of those actors that I'm very happy for. You
Oh,
know,
thanks.
you've put in the work. You've been on a lot of projects, dude, and you pay your dues, and I'm so happy that you've had this opportunity. So my question to you is, when you were growing up as a kid, was there a particular movie or was there a particular TV series that inspired you? Did
Mm,
you always know you wanted to get into this business?
yeah. No, I had no idea I was going to end up where I'm at. I didn't start acting until later in life. 98, my friends took me to an improv show and I loved it. I loved everything about that world and that performance. So I joined the theater. I auditioned for class and started doing that. And that was my first taste of doing any kind of performance. I never did any theater. I never auditioned for anything. And that was the first thing. I mean, I had lots of shows growing up that inspired me. I mean, I just loved movies. I love movies. I love television shows. I mean, I used to watch, George Reeves Superman and Adam West Batman. Anything that Jack Nicholson was in. Anything he was in, I was all about. So I loved movies. I loved TVs, and I loved hindsight being 2020. I loved entertaining people, making people laugh, and engaging with people. So it wasn't until later in life that I really found this calling. Up until then, I was in the corporate world, and so I took a big right turn.
And what a turn it has been,
Yeah,
man, because you're like I said, man, you are the gambler to me. I
thank you.
can't imagine anyone else getting that role, and I'm so happy for your recent success. Can you talk about any of the adversity in terms of becoming an actor? I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
know there's some ups and downs. It's not a steady. Sometimes you can have jobs for a while, sometimes you can't. How can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, being an actor is a grind for sure. I mean, it's a road of attrition really, and it's like, are you still in the game when the opportunity presents itself? Because there aren't many industries where you hear no much more than you hear yes, and that's a tough road. And I personally think that the world needs storytellers, and that's what actors are, and that's what writers are. And sometimes, in certain situations, our society doesn't value those jobs as much as others, and it's unfortunate because I think our world needs more storytellers. Uh, So it's a tough road to make a living. And I would say, you know, the big name actors that are making $20 million a movie, that's like 1% of all the actors in the world.
Yeah.
The rest of us are really just trying to grind out just a normal career that you can support your family and live in a house and pay your bills. And I find that the best way to stay engaged in that is to be focused on the process. And that's auditioning, growing as an actor, taking classes, interacting in the communities that actors interact in, and not getting focused on the product, which is like, did I book a show? Did I get an audition? Did I do good? Whatever that means. It's really about, I love what I'm doing. I want to be a storyteller, and I have to be a part of telling a story. And you can do that anywhere. You can do that on stage at a play. You can do that at an improv show. You can do that at a community theater. You can do that just auditioning. You can do that on your own with friends to write something, put it together, film it, and send it out. As long as telling a story is what you're engaged in, because I don't think, generally speaking, being an actor is, you know, again, unless you're in that top 1%, it's not like it's this career where you make tons of money and it's just this lavish lifestyle. It's not that at all. And so you have to really want to be a part of telling a story and be a storyteller, because then you're always fed. Then you're always moving forward because you're always being a part of telling a story. And you hang your hat on those things and not like the product, which is, did I book something? Was that, did I get a guest star? Did I get a recurring guest star? Am I series regular? Those things will come. But you have to, if you stay focused on the process.
And thank you for that. You know, that's something that a lot of folks don't realize about acting. You know, the acting world. You mentioned that top 1%. You know, those are the Brad Pitts and the George Clooney's of the world. And you know, I believe it was Tom Cavanaugh that recently came out and said, "Hey, you're just hoping that those guys turn down those roles so to give you an opportunity."
Yeah. The thing is, it's like, you know, like I used to work in the corporate world, so I knew that when I worked in a corporate world, I could do X, Y, and Z, and I would get ahead. I would progress in the company I was working for or whatever field I was working in. The thing about acting is you can do everything right. You can be really good at what you do and never get anywhere. It's out of your hands. Like, other people are making the decisions that affect your progress or your success. And that's a hard thing to get used to. So like, that's a hard thing to grasp. So like, you can work super hard. You can be great and you can do everything right. But the decision is often in the other people's hands and somebody else's hands. And they make decisions for a variety of reasons that have nothing to do with potentially how good of an actor you are or any of those things. It has to do with other things that you never even hear about. So you kind of have to have some thick skin and just know that every time you go and audition, that I did the best I could. That's all I can do. I gave them the best me on the day that I came to audition. I'm done. Let's move on. Right?
Yeah. That's beautiful.
The rest is out of your hands.
Yeah. And that's beautiful insight. And, you know, unfortunately with this pandemic that we're experiencing right now, you know, the light has never been as strong on streaming services, you know, like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime and DC Universe.
Yep.
So I mean, you guys are the features right now. There is no feature films. You guys are it.
Yeah.
Do you think in this day and age, because of YouTube and, you know, a lot of fan films, I've been a part of fan films. Do you think there's even more of an opportunity for young actors out there to be noticed by the bigger studios?
I think even before the pandemic, I think now is a perfect time to be a content creator. I think on the other side of this pandemic, whenever we get back up and running, everyone's going to be looking for content. They need to get content. Like it's, everybody's hungry for content because nobody's shooting anything right now. And when we get on the other side of this, all these studios, everybody, they're going to want content. And I think now's the best time to be a storyteller. in my opinion. I think it's a great time to be a storyteller. And I think as long as your story is honest and it's about something that you know, and people are going to listen, they're going to want to watch.
Yeah, and all you guys that are listening, this is great advice from Eric. If you guys are inspiring to be a writer, producer, director, or even an actor, this is the best time to do it, you guys. If you guys have original content, that you're writing, make sure you, make it happen. You guys do not need the backing of a big studio. You can do it yourself.
No, I mean, there's so many avenues for content now. I mean, you could put something up on YouTube and have 1 million hits tomorrow morning. That's the way things happen now. You just don't know. And if you have 1 million hits on YouTube, they're going to come find you. You don't have to worry about going out and getting anybody. They're going to come find you because your concept has proven itself right there in front of millions of people. And YouTube's free, right? Vimeo, you have lots of avenues for content, which is great. That's good for the content provider.
Great advice. Thank you so much for that. One of the other things I wanted to, congratulate you on is the second season. You guys got picked up. I know you have an NDA. You cannot give us too much of what's going to happen in the next 2 episodes. For those of you that don't know, that's a non-disclosure agreement. There's only so much that Eric can give us. But
and then they come after me. They come get me after that. You just kind of see somebody reach in and grab me and pull me away.
You see the shadow behind you, right?
Yeah. When I get too far, they just come in and grab me and pull me out.
How does it feel to be, I might be getting ahead of myself by congratulating you on season 2 because we don't know if you're going to be in season 2 per se. But, I mean, the fact that you were part of that foundation, the first season, how does that feel being picked up?
Oh, I think, it's a testament to the show and the work that we did. So, it's hard to sometimes judge how the world is perceiving the projects that you're working on. But one way that you can definitely judge whether you did a good job or not is whether you get picked up for the second season. And we did. And that's rewarding. Even if I'm only in the first season, it's still compelling to me to be a part of a show that is going to be successful going into a season 2, hopefully 3, 4, 5. I mean, I've read that Jeff's got the first 5 seasons already, like, out in his, right? Like, I read that the other day. And if I'm only involved in the first season, that's a huge deal, right? So I couldn't be happier. And then again, the story is so important to Jeff. It makes me feel good that it's all being validated and that his hard work, I mean, he poured everything into this show. And it got picked up. What better reward? What better mirror on your work is that? So I'm very happy.
And you could tell, I mean, from all, like I said, the episodes are they're high quality episodes, man. They're at another level. And I'm not trying to knock the other CW shows, but man, they got to step up their game compared to you guys. I mean, with all due respect, season 1 and 2 of The Flash, and I've said this before on my interviews, those are my favorite. But you guys have come in and just pretty much blown away everybody. So congrats to you guys.
Thanks. That's exciting. Thank you. That's very nice.
When you landed the role, did you do any research in regards to the comic book character? Did you go and see what your character was all about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spoke, like I said, when I first booked the role, Jeff called me like within 30 minutes, and he gave me a rundown of the character and gave me an idea of who the Gambler was, just kind of top line. So I would hold that as like the best source of information coming from Jeff Johns. And then after that, I just jumped online and started doing research. And, the Gambler is not like one of the most well-known characters in the DC comics, but there is information about him. And so Wikipedia is full of knowledge. You can learn anything there. And I just started reading up on him. I mean, there are definitely some big milestone and some information online that really give you a sense of who this guy is. and it was fun. It was fun to do. Yeah, I did a lot of research.
So you know about the Green Lantern being your arch nemesis. How cool would it be to be in a some sort of role where Ryan Reynolds is like chasing you down?
I mean, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, yeah, that would be awesome. I would love that. That would be great. Please.
Hey man, they're doing some work on HBO Max. I don't know if you've
I
heard,
know.
but
I have.
the Snyder Cut, and
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm in.
he has a pretty sad story if you think about he wanted to marry his I believe it was his high school sweetheart, and
Yep.
she goes off with another guy because she doesn't believe that he's not going to become like his father and his grandfather with his gambling tendencies, and that's pretty sad, man. I mean, that's heartbreaking. So
Yeah.
did you channel that part of his origin story into your character?
So I really focused on who he was kind of after that. I would say the repercussions of that, and if you look at the way he behaves, like one of the things I read was like he met the Green Lantern because he was seen next to his own wanted poster. Like he was just hanging out next to his own wanted poster, just daring people to come after him, right?
Yeah.
That says a lot about somebody, right? And it just said that he has a lot of charisma, and like I consider myself one of those guys that's like always feels like he just got his hand caught in the cookie jar. And so I kind of applied that to the gambler. I feel like the gambler's always like getting his hand caught in the cookie jar, or like intentionally putting it in there to see if he'll smack it. And the fact that he's a gambler makes him kind of charismatic. And Jeff and I talked about the fact that like all the other villains have like supernatural powers. So like they can Icicle freezes things, and Brainwave has his stuff, and Dragon King has a whole host of stuff going on that makes him special. And the gambler doesn't have any of those things. He has a Derringer. That's it. And and some cards. He has nothing. So he has intellect, and he has his ability to manipulate, which makes him just basically it makes him a survivor, because he's surviving in this world without any special kind of skills or powers. And so he has to be a chess player. And someone like that has to use different tools other than brute strength or powers. And I find that really interesting about the character. And that's kind of how I approached him. So for me, he's the kind of character that is doing whatever he has to do in the moment to get what he needs down the line, which makes him a chess player. And so he's the villain amongst the villains. He'll be smiling at Icicle saying, yep, let's do this. And in his mind, he's going, I'm going to win at the end of this. I might be the only person standing for all I know, right? Like that's how he thinks. That's how he has to believe. Because he's always the person in the room who, at least in his perception, knows more than everybody else. And so if that's all you got, that's a guy who's always presenting this smiling guy in the back of his hand, but in the back of his mind, he's looking to do horrible things to you. And I think that's a really scary villain. And so he's got to be charismatic and friendly and warm, but on the inside, he's brewing some terrible things. And I think that's really a cool villain. And that's how I approached him, which is hopefully what shows up on screen.
And it does, man. I mean, great. You brought up a lot of great points to his character. I mean, I could totally see his character. I mean, if something happens to Icicle, I can totally see him taking over. You know what I mean? Brainwave is powerful, but does he have that intellect like the gambler? The gambler, to me, is, like you said, 4 or 5 steps ahead of you, sort of like Lex Luthor. I already have a plan for that plan.
Yeah.
Another backup plan for that plan. That's the kind of character I see. But I also see him as a guy that I would run into on a casino, on a boat, like in the Mississippi River or something, like playing blackjack, telling me not to double down or something.
Steering you wrong, telling you to do stuff wrong, so his hand is better. Yeah,
right?
totally.
You know, he's such a great character, man. I'm truly happy for you, and thank you for bringing up those great points about the character. Let's get to the fan questions real
Sure.
quick.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see. Our first question is, did you know about the Gambler before being cast on Stargirl?
No, I didn't. I didn't know the Gambler before. I didn't know many of the characters from Stargirl before getting cast on the show, which is
Yeah, a
possibly a
lot of
good thing. It's possibly a good thing because then you don't walk in with any preconceived notions of how you're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
create the character. And I think it was good because I wasn't like I'm trying to hit a target. I was kind of developing it in the moment, and that's a good process for me at least.
And that's a great point, Eric, because like the bigger characters, like the Lex Luthors, or even um, the Batmans that have. I mean, they're the biggest characters, in the DC world. There's so much expectation, and with this character being a Golden Age comics character, there wasn't too. I mean, they're not the most mainstream, if you will.
Yeah,
So to not know, I think, was a blessing, like you said.
but I think it's so cool. Like I love the idea of like characters like Sportsmaster, who is just
Yes.
this badass with sports equipment. Like that's cool. That's just a cool concept to me.
Yeah.
So I love these characters for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Let's get to our second question. Are you going to see the Gambler purple suit again, like in the opening JSA ISA fight scene?
Man, I hope so. I hope so. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That was a cool suit. I mean, um, I got like again, I got cast like on a Friday, and the next day I had to go do a fitting, and they built that thing from scratch. Like that's a custom suit.
That wasn't
We had
polyester, was it?
Oh no. Oh my gosh. No. It was hot. It was hot. Let me tell you. It was
The
a hot
humidity in
suit.
Georgia is unforgiving, right?
Oh, it was very, very hot. And I have a cravat in every scene. And so like it's like, I've got this material up in my throat the whole time. But I love that suit. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Once again, guys, I got to remind everyone that's watching, non-disclosure agreement. So just stay tuned for the next two episodes. The last two episodes that are coming up, I can't wait. I mean, this last episode that we just saw was so heartwarming, I guess, if you
Oh,
can say
yeah.
that. Very
Yeah.
touching with Stargirl's father coming into the picture. Big shout out to Breck. Uh, those were very emotional scenes, and
There's a lot of
man,
emotion in this. I mean, uh, Justin, janitor Justin, really deep emotions being shown on his scenes, and Breck, same thing. Jake, Brainwave Jr. I mean, that was some great scenes, some great work.
man, that scene between Brainwave and Brainwave Jr.
Oh,
was such an epic
yeah,
scene, man. And
awesome.
I've asked actors this before. Is it tough to go to those places where you have to show that kind of emotion? I've heard of actors that have, gone to places during their childhood when maybe they were being bullied or maybe some sort of traumatic experience happened in their life, and they get into those emotions to show it on screen. What do you do, Eric, to show those emotions when you're on screen?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own process, and uh, I tend to not. I'll go so far as to say I tend not to be the actor that like holds on to those emotions after the scene is done. So the way I prepare is I prepare to experience those emotions in the moments that I need it, and then I let it go and walk away from what I've done. And the specifics of what I do are kind of like very personal to me, and kind of like the tools that I use. The more I speak them out loud, the more power they have for me. So like I won't like if I've got like a thing that I think about or a phrase that I think about, I never say it out loud because it kind of takes the power away for me. But I specifically focus on just being in the moment and listening to what's really happening, and almost like an improv scene. Like I always go back to my improv roots, and improv is about listening, um, feeling, and showing compassion or some kind of feeling for the person that's right in front of you based on what they're said or do. And so if I can convince myself that in that moment, these things are happening and I just need to listen to the person in front of me, and I need to respond with my, imaginary truths or like what's been written for me or my perceived truths, then I'm able to kind of let it go and walk away. And that's what works for me. Every actor has a different method, so to speak, that they use, and that just works for me. So I'm able to walk away and like not come home and bring it home, or have a great day on set and then 2 really bad days because I'm carrying it around with me. And that's just what works for me.
That's great insight. Thank you so much. Wow,
Yeah.
that's there's some, unfortunately, we've had some issues with some actors that kind of kept, they couldn't let go of that character, and things happen, and that happens. We're all human, right? So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. Let's go to our next question. If you could play any other role within the Arrowverse, what would it be and why?
I think I would love to be the Flash. I think the Flash is my guy. I love the Flash, and I think it's because having super speed would allow me to help the greatest number of people as soon as possible. Right? Like I could get them what they need as soon as they need it. So I think that's why, and I think that's who, because I love the Flash. That's my binge stuff. I will watch some Flash big time.
Would you love to do a crossover with the Flash? Would that be something?
I'd love to do a crossover with anybody. Let me tell you, I love this universe. Like I love all these shows. So I would do it with any of them. But yeah, it would be a dream come true to do something with the Flash.
That's awesome, man. That's like I said, that's my jam too. I mean, I love the Flash, and
yeah,
one of my favorite superheroes, and my favorite villain is Zoom, as you can tell from my page.
yeah,
but just having that super speed, man, wow, it would be awesome.
yeah.
That's an awesome answer. Thank you so much.
And it doesn't hurt that you heal incredibly fast too. Like that's not a bad
Yes.
thing either.
Definitely. So far, what's been your favorite episode, and who is your favorite villain besides yourself in the ISA? I mean, I think you mentioned it earlier, but
yeah. So my favorite episode, like for my work, like where I got to work in, was the episode 2 that I got to do a scene with Amy Smart. I thought that was really rewarding for me personally. My favorite episode of the entire season, something about the first like 5 minutes of the pilot, the first episode, I really, really love. Like the grandeur of it, and it's all one shot. When Luke is coming in to the JSA, it is all one shot, and I really like that. I like that, and I do think that each episode has gotten better. And so I would say my favorite one is always the last one, because they just keep getting better. My favorite villain, I think Dragon King, just the way he looks and who he is pretty darn cool. I mean, he wears a hood over his face the entire time, and he's got that really kind of like very creepy voice, and I don't know what he's up to, but he's very compelling. So I think that's a cool. I love them all. I love all these villains. I really do. Like I love Sportsmaster, and I love Icicle, mainly because Neil Jackson's such an awesome guy, and he does such a great job with it. So I love them all, but I think Dragon King might be my jam.
he's got this little Cobra Commander thing going, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like he's so so composed, and like it's just kind of creepy, And like he's got that apron on, and like there's like dried blood all over it. Like I want to know what he's been doing all the time. Like why doesn't he wash his apron? Why does he have dry blood on it all the time?
Oh man, that's awesome. Let's see what our next question is. How did you find out you got the part of the gambler?
Well, my agent called and said, they want to book you. And then I didn't know what it was still. And then 30 minutes later, after my agent said I had the role, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. And it was Mr. Jeff Johns, who was like, I was like, wait, Jeff Johns? Wait, the Jeff Johns? You're called? I thought it was a joke. I thought like somebody was messing with me. I was like, okay. In the same, like, the Jeff Johns? And he was like, so here's the deal. He's like, I want to welcome you to the show. You're going to be playing a character named the Gambler, or Stephen Sharp. And this is his deal. You know, you're the CFO of the American Dream, and you're Icicle's right-hand man, and this is who he is in the comic books. So Jeff really laid it out for me. So, I mean, I heard it from like the guy who, I heard it from the guy.
Yeah.
Jeff told me.
The guy who wrote it. The guy who,
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, the guy. He told me.
So, you know, I know there was an episode, I can't remember the number of episodes, and I do apologize, but when you were hacking the satellite system, and there was a song you were singing. So I don't know how big of a singer you are. The Flash did do a crossover episode. Excuse me, they did a musical episode, if you will, with Darren Criss. I don't know if you remember that episode.
I don't know. I don't remember that one.
You don't remember that one? It was all musical.
Yeah.
I mean, it was one of the. I mean, it was an amazing episode. You know, Grant sang a song, and it was pretty cool. Everyone sang, but how would that feel if they told you, "Hey, Eric, we're gonna do a musical type version of this episode"? Would you be all in, or would you be like, "Hey, wait a minute"?
I'm all in on anything. I mean, I did improv for 16 years. I'm 20 now. I've done worse on stage, and I do just about anything. I'm all in. Whenever here's my guiding principle. I always say, like, if somebody asks me to do something for like an audition or a TV show or a movie, I always say, like, would Will Ferrell do it? And so if Will Ferrell will do it, why wouldn't I? He's hugely successful. Like, why am I gonna? Who do I think I am? Will Ferrell would do it. So I would.
Great point.
I would definitely say. I do whatever. I do.
That's right. I mean, Will Ferrell's pretty much done everything.
Everything.
Is there anything you can tell us? Anything whatsoever? Once again, guys, we got to talk about this NDA agreement.
Yeah.
But is there anything you could tell us for the last 2 episodes? Is there anything you can hint or anything you could tell us in regards to what's going to happen? I mean, you don't have to answer this question.
Sure. I mean, it's nothing probably that isn't already known necessarily, but in case you don't know, I mean, there's going to be a huge confrontation between the JSA and the ISA. It's going to be epic. And there's no way you can know how it's going to end.
Oh. Ooh.
There's no way. There's no way anyone could possibly know how it's going to end.
Wow.
Unless you've already seen it. I mean, I will say this. When I read the last script, the last episode, I was sitting in bed going, and I like turned to my wife and I was like, no way. There's no way you can guess it. There's no way.
Oh my God, Eric.
It's awesome. The ending is mind-blowing.
I cannot wait, man. I cannot.
And the next episode's great too, because they kind of put them together. So it's like a part 1 and a part 2. The last episode is.
It's Stripe. It's called Stripe 12, Stripe 13, right? Is that what it's called? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it's called. I don't know.
Man, I cannot wait, Eric.
It's really good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, yeah.
I truly appreciate it, man. I'm so happy for all your success. I wish you nothing more but success. I hope that once this pandemic is over and maybe we have San Diego Comic-Con out here or LA Comic-Con, you're able to make it out here.
Oh,
The
I would love
fans,
that.
man, they love your character, man. They love the gambler. Like I said, man, great job,
Thanks.
and thank you so much. Is there anything that you want to tell, the Speedcast interview session folks that are out there? Do you want to say anything to them? Anything else?
Yeah,
Any project?
absolutely. I want to say thank you because we talked about it at the beginning, but when I first started doing this show, I had no idea what it meant. And walking into a community of people that I've had the privilege of meeting, like you and other people who are doing podcasts and interviews and just engaging and supporting not just my show, but like this whole culture of comic books, superheroes, pop culture, science fiction. Like everybody's in it together, and everyone I have met has been so generally kind and caring that I want to thank everybody for being a part of this community and for accepting me into the community because it's a real privilege. I never anticipated it. It's one of the best parts about working on a show like this is that there's this community of people who are just ready to embrace. And we need more of that in the world, and I'm proud to be a part of it. So thank you all.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Eric. I truly appreciate your time. This has been great. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I can't wait to see the last two episodes. And I wish you nothing but health, and I hope you and your family are healthy and safe. And I wish you nothing but success. Thank you so much.
No, I wish the same for you, and thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for everyone for joining today's Speedcast. You guys all have a very enjoyable evening. Everyone, take care out there. Be safe out there. Okay, guys, wear a mask, guys. Thank you so much. Take care, Eric.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.